How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Data here, and welcome back to the Vancouver Canucks franchise mode, episode number 14, moving into the second half of year number 4, the 2026-27 regular season. In the last one, we left off at the halfway point with a record of 24-10-7, on pace to go 48-20-14. That's good enough to put us third best in the NHL at the moment, but we have 2 games in hand on the Wild and 4 games in hand on the Maple Leafs, so we should be in that top 2, even number 1 conversation, but top 3 will take it. The interesting thing about last episode is that oftentimes we'll have little struggles with the 5-on-5. There's always like one line that has a terrible plus minus, but we can always rely on a strong top 3, top 5 power play and something like a top 10 penalty kill. It was the reverse in the first half of year number 4 in the last episode, as we have a very strong 5-on-5 team, but our power play is at 15.4%, which is not bad at all, but it's definitely not in the top 10. It's in the middle, even closer to the bottom than the top, I would say. And our penalty kill at 80.6% is certainly not even close to the top. We're very close to the bottom. So both of our special teams are in that bottom half of the league, which is honestly unheard of when it comes to end of year stats. So we'll want to be seeing that get turned around in the second half. How are we going to do it? We'll find out. Now, looking back at the first half so far, Anze Kopitar and Quinn Hughes have been incredible. Anze Kopitar, we picked him up in free agency to be our second line center. He was an 87. He's dropped down to an 84. We gave him that big 1-year contract at $8.5 million, and he is delivering. Mr. Playmaker, he's a plus 30, only 4 power play points. He has been incredible. Meanwhile, the captain, Quinn Hughes, is on pace to go just about point per game, coming off of his first Norris Trophy. 39 points plus 15. Again, only 5 power play points. Sam Reinhart, big bounce back season from him. He was a potential trade candidate after last year. Only 56 points. It was a negative 24. He's on pace to get close to point per game, and he's a plus 28 right now. JT Miller, Elias Pettersson, and Andrei Kuzmenko, our first line, all of them above 30 points, which is very good, but well off their previous paces. Kuzmenko on pace for 62 points, when in the last 3 years he's scored 82, or he's been point per game plus 3 years in a row. Now he's on pace to go 62. And that's largely in part to the lack of power play scoring. He has only 2 power play points and is on pace to score 4 when he scored 17, 20, 17 over the last 3 years. It's the same thing for Miller and Pettersson, where it's unfortunate that they're not point per game plus right now, but still to be scoring around 70 plus points, nothing to sneeze at. But like Elias Pettersson, he's an 80 plus point guy. He has the franchise potential as well as a 93 overall. We would want to be seeing more, especially with him as the finisher on our power play. Only 2 power play goals in 41 games. So again, well off the pace. But if we move off the first line, we see Aatu Räty, big surprise so far. He's up to an 85 overall. He's been playing middle 6. He's set to smash last year's career high of 43 points in his sophomore season. 33 and 41 on pace for a 66-point year. That second unit power play has been doing well enough. He has 6 power play points on the second unit, while guys like Pettersson have just 2 on the first unit. So Kuzmenko, Hronek at 27 points, good to see from him. Tyler Bertuzzi, we picked him up as a part of a storyline deal, but he's been delivering. We moved out Brock Besser to get him. He's on pace for 52 points. He's a plus 17. He's scoring while not being a liability defensively, and that's exactly what we needed from that winger spot on the third, second-ish line. More third line time, though, this year. So Bertuzzi's been doing well. Dano on pace for 50 after scoring like somewhere in the 30s last year. Lekaramäki's rookie season on pace for 48 points. Really good to see. 5 power play points from him as well. 4 power play goals to boot. Hannafin's a plus 36 this year with a plus 33 to Hronek. So big props to the second pair. But Colson 12, unfortunately relegated to 4th line time this season, but we'll get him back next year into the top 9. Willander 11, Maroon 10, Manson 9, Anderson Dolan 8, Susi 7. Now, another big thing in the first half has been the goaltending. As last episode was entitled The Three-Headed Monster Between the Pipes, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, Archer Silovs, and Casey DeSmith. 3 goaltenders who have their own strengths, but UPL has been really good so far. 15, 6, and 5 with a 921 save percentage and 2.57 goals against average as an 83 overall. So 83, 80, 81 just goes to show once again how you don't need high overalls to get good performance. But really impressive to see from this 3-headed monster, and hopefully they can continue to do what they've been doing and we can rely on them long term while we do maybe a little bit of experimentation with our forward lines. But all that to say, we have as high as plus 36, and no one is a negative on this team through the first half. Last season we saw players in the negative 20s, so it is a very, very welcome improvement. So sorry for the longer than usual introductory catch-up. We'll get to comments in a moment. There were a lot of comments in the last one, but not many that differed too much from what they had to say. Most comments saying that we are in kind of like a position of power, a position of luxury right now, while although our second line has been incredible and our forwards are all clicking, it wouldn't be a bad idea to try a little bit of experimentation in the top six, to try and get Kuzmenko going, to try and get a little bit of something going on the power play, to see if Ratu can get top minutes maybe on the first line. It wouldn't be a bad time to try some experimentation, and worst case, we fall back on these lines. So we'll see a little bit of that for the forwards. The defense, I don't believe will be touching anything, and of course, the special teams, both the power play and the penalty kill, will need some alterations. So we'll go ahead and start off the comments section with Super Loser, who said, congrats on the engagement data. Of course, big news to start 2024. Thank you again for all the congratulations that have been coming in the last couple of videos. Wishing you and your fiance nothing but the best. Thank you, my friend. The team is in an interesting spot. Great on 5v5, but those special teams are brutal. I would change those lines one more time before we look for a solution. Give them until the deadline, another 20 games or so, then see where we're at. If it's fixed, great. If not, we can make a move for a power play or penalty kill specialist. I think we should wait until the deadline because that's when the most players are on the block. So we'd have more options, of course. The first line scoring is a little disappointing, but that may just be a result of them not getting any power play points. They're still all plus 10 as a line, so I'd keep them together for now. Plus, it would require breaking up a second line that is absolutely clicking. Lastly, look at changing the 3v3 and shootout lineup, as we are 3-7 past regulation. That is not optimal. That's all from me. Happy New Year and go Canucks. Thank you, Super Loser. So it's a good point. Elias Pettersson is at 36 points right now, on pace for 72, and last year he had 85 points, but remove his 16 that were on the power play, and that gives you 69 even strength points. This season, take away his 2 power play points, 34, that puts him on a pace of 68 even strength points. So he's pretty much on the exact same even strength point pace as last year. Is that pace still too low for his overall and potential? Yes, I think so. But it's not out of the ordinary, especially considering the 81 points that he scored the year prior. So I don't think the first line is necessarily worse than we've seen them be. But at the same time, Kuzmenko is a huge one to be on pace for 62, and he's always been a point per game plus guy. So if we were to make some alterations to the top 6 to try and jumpstart some guys, I think it would be more to try and jumpstart Kuzmenko more than anyone. Again, worst case scenario, we can fall back on these lines. It's always a bit scary to tinker with something that's working so well, so I am a bit hesitant to touch that second line, but I do think that would be in the interest of the greater good. Super Loser also mentioned the possibility of acquiring a power play or penalty kill specialist. That's what Cheating Heel mentions a little bit in his comment here. Our new acquisitions, UPL and Kopitar mainly, are killing it. The guy I wouldn't mind acquiring at or before the deadline would be Claude Giroux. It wouldn't cost much. He has been simming well so far this season. He can play center or wing, and he would bring more leadership to the group. He'd be a very good insurance policy if we get a major injury. Good point, as right now our 13th forward is Liam Foudy. He could also bolster both the power play and the penalty kill. However, he'd most likely be slotting in as third line center, which would push Dano down to fourth line center for the cup run, or he could slot in as third line winger and then push Bertuzzi down to fourth line, which would then push Maroon out of the lineup, but that's a bit of a stretch, and Bertuzzi's probably making too much to be on the fourth line. Not sure what it would do to chemistry, but considering how Kuzmenko is doing this year and how Ratu stepped his game up, we might want to swap both of them up, first and second line left wing. Let's see if Ratu can handle top line minutes, and maybe Kopitar can jumpstart Kuzmenko. As for the power play, maybe we could also swap Kuzmenko and Lekaramaki between units 1 and 2, and try to give either one of those a spark. And also make sure to get an upgrade on McIsaac, our 7th defenseman, at the deadline. Not sure I'm comfortable with bringing him in the playoffs if we have an injury, or if a D-man underperforms and we want to bench him. Kind of like what we did to Willander last year. I can almost touch the cup. It's fingertips away. Just need to reach out a bit more. Go nuts. Thank you, Cheating Heel. Great points. So a guy like Claude Giroux would be a great pickup for many, many reasons. He sims well. He's on the block. He's a good veteran. He has the winger center eligibility. But number one, the Blues are a winning team. They're 9th in the NHL. The Blues have Claude Giroux. But the bigger issue is Pushing Deno down to fourth line center, already a bit sketch. Pushing Maroon out of the lineup, also pretty sketch because he's been a solid veteran for us despite his low overall. And then pushing someone in this top 9 down to the fourth line, also pretty sketch, I have to say, especially Bertuzzi, who's doing very well in his third line position. So if we were to get someone as that kind of specialist, I think it would probably have to be a guy like Phil Kessel, who we got back in year number 1. He was a low overall, and we could put him on the fourth line, but we put him on the power play, and he feasted there. So I think if we were to get someone, at least at the halfway point, I know it's not the deadline yet, it would have to be someone who wouldn't require top 9 minutes. For the next comment, I'll pull up the power play units for you right here. As Gavin suggests, the lack of power play production is concerning given how good our even strength offense is. Maybe swap out Kuzmenko or Reinhart for Bertuzzi. Balance out the offense and add some grit to the first unit perhaps. Maybe even 2 defensemen on the second unit. I would also consider making some changes in the top 2 lines and our top 6, even though the second line has been producing so well. You could try swapping Miller and Reinhart to spark Pettersson and Kuzmenko's offense. Great video data, and see you in the next one. Thank you for that, Gavin. I do think making a swap here would be the move on the power play, and I'm thinking we swap 2 right-handed shots, probably Kuzmenko for Lekaramaki if I had to just throw something out there. Lekaramaki, right-handed shot, he's been doing very well on the second unit, so let's try and getting him on the first unit, then put Kuzmenko, he can play with Miller, Bertuzzi, Hronek, Ratu on the second. Maybe it strengthens a unit that's already been pretty good already. He can be the finisher over here as well, instead of having to share with Pettersson. I think I could see this working out. I'm also tempted to maybe try and have the defense move around a little bit. Like maybe 2 defensemen on unit 1. Like Reinhardt comes out for Hronek. It would take out the +5 to make it a +3. So I'm thinking we start with this as our first change. Not say does it jump to 90% on the power play, but just keep a close eye on it. Do we see any improvement in the first 10 games or so? And maybe go from there. So +5 is maintained on the first unit. Lekaramaki can play here with top dogs, while Kuzmenko can be the finisher now on the second unit with a pretty strong unit still. As Gavin said, Bertuzzi could make a swap here with Sam Reinhart, but again, I think that would affect the chemistry a little bit too much because Bertuzzi has no X factors. It'll go from +5 to +1, so I think that's too big of a dip for right now. If we are still really struggling in 10, 15 games and we're starting to get a bit more desperate, then yeah, we could look at it again. So we'll try that for the power play units and go from there. It's really that first unit more than anything. So we'll keep a close eye. The bigger issue is the penalty kill, and we'll get to that in just a moment after we finish up these next couple comments. I forgot to mention this comment from Francesco, who said, "Hey Data, oh yeah, congratulations on the engagement to your sweetheart and Happy New Year, buddy." Thank you, Francesco. 2 words in regards to the trade deadline day. Power play specialist, power play specialist, power play specialist. So we know what Francesco wants for Christmas. And honestly, we have the trade value to acquire one. We'll just see how necessary it becomes, where that fit would be in the lineup, who would be available, etc., 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 once the day comes. We'll finish it off with a lovely novel from Dan. We'll skim through it a little bit, but Dan leaving a wonderful comment. Thanks for another great one, Data. I didn't get to comment on the off-season episode, so Happy New Year and congratulations on your engagement. It's been a while since my last novel, so I apologize in advance. Dan, never any apology needed. Speaking of Dan, he also is the bookkeeper for our Google Sheet for this Vancouver Canucks series. If you ever want to consult it to see all our history of trades, our record against any given team, our points from any season, all that is in the Google Sheet, which is linked in the description. Check that out. So Dan starts off by saying that we're at the part of the puzzle where you really see it starting to form. The edges have been done for a while, and we're staring at the table for minutes at a time just trying to figure out how it comes together. It won't be long before we can see that full picture. The one that lasts a lifetime. Oh my goodness, chills just saying it. The first line needs a shakeup. Maybe move Sam Reinhart up for JT Miller? Reinhart looks on his game recently and can jumpstart Kuzmenko and Pettersson. Miller is producing offensively, but more so as a playmaker compared to Reinhart. It could give Ratu even more goal-scoring opportunities while Kopitar continues to crush at 39 years old. Amazing. I initially thought that we needed a defensive change after Willender's slow start. He had 2 points in the first 25 games. However, in the second quarter, he scored 9 points in the last 16 games. So you know what? The defense has looked rock solid. The second pair has been incredible, We didn't even talk about, like Dan says, Hanifin and Hronek with the plus 36 and 33 respectively. So I don't think we need to touch anything on the blue line for now. The goaltending trio has all forms of simulation covered. As we know, there's calendar sim, menu sim, and slow sim. UPL has been incredible in the calendar. Silovs has been doing very well in the menu, it seems like. And Casey DeSmith, both this season and historically, has crushed the slow sim, or at least been pretty good. The system is working. Let's see if it lasts through the second half. Keep Casey DeSmith on reserve for the playoffs and when we want to hop into slow sims. As for special teams, balance out the power play and throw the penalty kill in a blender. Again, the personnel is there, but we need to get the proper fits. Thinking about extensions, Kopitar is definitely a sign and figure out candidate. It would be silly not to bring him back at what's like under half of what he's making right now. Even if he's in a reduced role, and even if his overall goes down further with his top 9 potential. For his production, I think for him to be asking 4 point whatever million is incredibly fair, when we probably would have been expecting for him to ask for like 6 million, and we would have crossed our fingers to get him down to 5.1 and say, oh, maybe it's a bit too much. But if we can get him down to close to 4.05, whatever that might be, that's a game changer. Willander, we can qualify as an RFA and figure out later on. We have the luxury and the room for experimentation in our lineup. We can always go back to the lines we have now. That put us on a 48 win pace. Keep up the great work, my man. Couldn't be happier for you with all that's happening both on and off the screen. Warms my heart, my friend. I know 2024 will be a big year for the Android. Go Canucks. Dan, a masterclass of a comment. Thank you, my friend. So all that to say, we'll get to extensions in a moment, but the penalty kill, we're going to be essentially throwing it in the blender. Pettersson doesn't seem to be thriving. I don't know. He has the 5-star defense. Maybe the 80 faceoffs is hurting us there. Maybe something like that. So let's throw Kopitar in here. Very solid defensively with the 87 faceoffs. Let's get him on the first unit. Aside from that, JT Miller, the defense, the other units, I'm going to take care of it just myself off screen and show you what I come up with. And I think it'll be this. So Kopitar, Bertuzzi, Hanifin, Manson, unit number 1 with the +3. Danault, Miller, Hughes, Willander on the second unit +3. And going to be Pettersson, Podkolzin, Susi, Hronek on the third unit +2. A little bit more well-rounded with an emphasis on putting the better defensive players, not just the higher overall players, on unit number 1. So fingers crossed and go from there. I'm going to touch up the 3v3 and the shootout lines as well. Then from there, we'll get into some extension talk. So that's taken care of. What we'll do now to finish off our line thoughts is probably just make a little change in the top 6. So there are a lot of different suggestions. Kopitar coming up, Miller and Reinhart swapping. When it comes to the line fits, the best move to make would likely be a Kuzmenko-Ratu swap. If JT Miller leaves the first line, it'll be a big drop for him with his very poor second line fit. It would instantly become a -2 if he swaps with Reinhart. So I'm thinking Ratu is the one we want to give more minutes to as an experiment, and Kuzmenko is the one who we want to get jump-started the most. So let's try putting Ratu on the top line. It still maintains a +4 with Pettersson and Miller, and Kuzmenko can come down to this incredible second line with Kopitar and Reinhart with the paces that they have been on. Same thing for Tyler Bertuzzi. Great third line fit, not great in the top 6. Let's keep him there for now. A little top 6 change, some special teams changes, some 3-on-3 line changes, little stuff like that, and we'll see how it goes moving into a next little experimentation type of phase. Now, like we said, last thing we want to do is look at potential extensions. Quinn Hughes, our captain, the biggest one, coming off of a Norris Trophy. He wants 7 by 12.3. I know it's a bit more to pay him 8 years, but I think it would make the most sense that he gets an 8-year extension at this point. The captain, he's 27. He wants to capitalize and get his big payday right now. I think an 8-year extension would be what makes the most sense. 85% is 10.7, so I'm thinking 8 years at 10.75. I think that's fair. If we were to wait 2-3 more years, he'd be asking for 16 million. So 8 by 10.75, I think that would be very fair. $86 million for the captain. Let's see what he says about that. So that would leave us with just about 20 million or so for everybody else. Philip Hronek wants big money as well, but we could play around with the year. Actually, 6 years is the best deal at 9.675. And honestly, we do really want to keep him, and I'm not sure what his demand would be if we wait longer. So 85% now is around 8.25. So 6 years, 8.25. I don't think that would be too crazy to do either for an 87 who scores on the pace that he does. So it hurts to be paying that much, but that's what high overall defense costs in franchise mode. So I'm willing to send him the 6 by 8.25 and go from there. I know it's costly, but that's what defense costs. Last would be Kopitar. I know it could probably get a little bit cheaper because as 39 overall with top 9 potential, his overall will likely drop some more. But this is a guy who's on like a point per game pace, making $8.5 million, and he's willing to take about half of what he's making right now. So if we could bring him back for, I don't know, let's say like 4.25 million, I think that's very much worth it. Even if he really regresses, he's down to a third line center, whatever it might be, just to say thank you for coming here on the 1 year deal and taking a risk, I'm okay with giving him 4.2. Honestly, he should be asking for like 5.5, 6 million, and we would be considering ourselves lucky to get him down to 4.775. But no, he's starting at 4.775, which allows us to go down to 4.05. But I'm going to go 4.25 to try and say, hey, this guy's having a crazy season. I think it would make sense that he would acknowledge his age. He's almost 40, but he's going to cash in on this crazy production. So we'll send it out and see what he says about that. I don't think we'll send out any more extensions. Willender's an RFA. Manson wants crazy money. Actually, I think DeSmith wants league minimum, so it doesn't get better than that. Yeah, we'll send him an extension. League minimum to be like third goalie. He'll be 36. Yeah, 1 year, 800K. I think that makes sense for what he's becoming. He's done some crazy things for this team, but I think that would essentially be like a thank you contract. Instead of him sitting in free agency and getting nothing, we're giving him 800K to stay on this very stacked squad. So that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's advance a couple. So here we are at the Honda Center in Anaheim for the first game of this kind of new-ish look squad. Some changes here and there throughout the lineup. For tonight's start, the Ducks are below 500, but they're like 7-2 at 7-2-1. I think I saw in their last 10. So we want to make sure that we are, and we got Buffalo next. So yeah, let's go Silovs right now. King Arthur will get this game, and then UPL will play against his former team next game. So here we are in Anaheim at the Honda Center. Let's try and get back into it on a 48-win pace, beginning the second half of year number 4. Here we go. First period, it is 2-0 Vancouver after 20. Philip Danault, and there he is at Turatu, playing first line minutes for the first time in his career, and he scores in the first period. Second period now, 5-0 after 40. Kuzmenko on the power play, exactly who we wanted to get going. Hronik and Hanifin on that second pair defense, both of them chipping in. This is exactly what we want to be seeing here through 2 periods. 5-0 after 40. We saw Kuzmenko, we saw Ratu, an even strength goal from Kuzmenko would be something, but now Lundstrom breaks the shutout for Silovs. Reinhardt answers right back on his new second line, with Kuzmenko being a part of it, to restore the 5-goal lead. 5 minutes to go, and we're out shooting Anaheim just by a little bit. Anaheim on the power play now in the final couple minutes. We kill it off, and we'll come away with a 6-1 victory to begin the second half of the season. Shots end 37-31, but we win by 5. 30 saves for Silovs to get him first star honors. Kuzmenko a goal and 2 assists, and Ratu a goal and an assist. Lovely. Very happy to see that. So it was a bit of a longer introduction. I forgot to mention, a bit of a longer introduction than usual to start this episode. Last episode was our shortest franchise mode episode, I think since February of 2022. I had looked it up back in the Kraken series on NHL 22. So almost 2 calendar years since we've had such a short episode. So I wanted to, squeeze as much as I could out of the beginning of the second half and give you your money's worth here this weekend. So great win to begin the second half. We'll take a 6-1 victory. And here we go. Come on, Kopitar says yes. That's 1. Next, Philip Hronik on board. That's 2. And that's 3 out of 4 now for Casey DeSmith. And Quinn Hughes, the captain. Let's go. We're 4 for 4 on our extensions. Great news after a 6-1 victory. Now if we check out the contract situation for next season, that leaves us with $10.48 million. Definitely enough for Willander, and you would think maybe like Karamaki or something. The Karamaki, we could do a little, he wants 2-way still, a 2-way deal. I don't think that would make sense as much, though. He probably wants 3, we probably do like 2 years, $1 million. Yeah, I won't break my head for that right now. We'll wait and see a bit more on Karamaki. He's probably the other one that we want to see the most from in the simulation. We want to see a little power play goal maybe from him on that first unit. So now we're hosting the 26-14-3 Buffalo Sabres, the team that Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen left in free agency. They let him walk. They rolled with Devin Levi. Let's see what we can do now with him between the pipes, starting and welcoming his old team into Vancouver. First period, 1-0 Canucks after 20. Put Colson down on that fourth line. It's Spencer Martin playing between the pipes for the Sabres, Second period, we're up 3-0. Kuzmenko even strength and Reinhardt even strength. There's that second line. Beautiful. Really good to see even strength production from them continued with Kuzmenko as a part of it. He will benefit greatly, in my opinion. At least from what we're seeing so far. We're up 3-0 after 40. Power play Vancouver first unit. Extended opportunity, and there's Reinhardt on the power play. No goal from Karamaki, but he was in on it. Then a power play goal from Tage Thompson to break the shutout late, unfortunately. Power play Buffalo again will kill it off with 5 minutes to go. That should be enough to call it a night. Rasmus Dahlin will score one more late, but we're up by 2 in the final minute, and that'll be all she wrote. 2 goals on 32 shots. We get outshot 32-29, but we win this one 4-2 the final. Luukkonen makes 30 saves to be second star honors. First star for Reinhart, 2 goals and an assist. Andrei Kuzmenko, another star on that second line, a goal and an assist from him. Really, really encouraging to see results from that second line. So now let's get back into the calendar. We'll do a little bit of simulation and see where it brings us. Actually, just probably a couple more games because we'll want to switch goalies again as I'm keeping a careful eye on everybody. No thank you, Philadelphia. We're going to host the Nashville Predators and lose 5-1 and then lose 4-2 in Philadelphia. Unfortunate. We're going to put Silovs in for a few now. We're going to give him Washington, Pittsburgh, and Carolina. Then UPL will come in and keep the crease most likely after that against the Blue Jackets starting in that game. Lundstrom, legend, can't take him though. 4-2 win on the road in Washington, 3-2 win in Pittsburgh, and 3-2 win in Carolina. If it wasn't a back-to-back, I would keep Silovs. We're going to go back to UPL, but we'll see after this one. 80 overall. This guy's crazy. 921 save percentage. Ridiculous. His career numbers between this season and last season, 35 games played, 22, 8, and 3, 919 save percentage. Crazy. Actually, minus 5 games in the real world and the 2 games in 2024-25 when things weren't quite ready. But the last couple of years, combined record of what? It would be 19, 4, and 3. 920 plus save percentage and the 2.3s for goals against average. Whew. Take a bow, buddy. So UPL's going to be back in for the next few starts, but great to see 3 consecutive wins from King Arthur. And just as we start simulating, Luke Misa, sore hip to keep him out for a couple of weeks, I believe. So I'll make some changes in the AHL. Okay, good. Now I got to back out again. Classic. Blah, blah, blah. Switch. NHL, AHL. 2-1 shootout win and 4-3 win in Ottawa. So these are all tight 1-goal games. We're on a 5-game winning streak. But each win came by 1 goal. So definitely tighter than we'd like. But a 5-game winning streak is a 5-game winning streak. Through the All-Star break here, Zach Hyman offered to us in a deal for Philip Danault. That's interesting, actually. But it's hard to think that we would do anything at this point atop the NHL. Plus, Edmonton's a good team as well. They shouldn't really be trying to move Hyman at this point, you would think. But, you know, who am I to say anything? Let's keep UPL for next couple games here on the road against Dallas and then against Vegas. Ooh, injured elbow for Noah Hannafin. The first injury to our NHL squad all season, if I'm not mistaken. Aside from 1 game for Jared McIsaac, right? Yeah, he played 1 game. Liam Foodie's still yet to play. So Hannafin's going to be out for just a little bit, not too long. So the second pair will now be probably Susie. Yeah, I guess Susie and Hronik. And the third pair, McIsaac, will come in with Matt. Like we said, are we super confident in Jared McIsaac? Maybe not, but this will be a good opportunity for him to prove himself as a 7th defenseman. Luke Misa, fully healed. Very good. Back to the calendar. All right, so 3-2 shootout win, 2-1 overtime win. We're on a 7-game winning streak, and all 7 games coming by 1 goal, and 3 of them coming beyond regulation. Sheesh. So great to see UPL get back in there. Very good. Let's go back to Silovs now and his crazy numbers. Casey DeSmith, just keep resting up to be our ace in the hole for the postseason, buddy. The next game we got to go see would be the Rangers. Absolutely. The team that beat us in the Stanley Cup Final last year. A first. Ooh, this is interesting. Danault and a first for Carlson, a second and a third. That's tempting. Essentially swapping third-line centers, and we give up a first to get a second and a third back. William Karlsson, what's he up to here? 15 points only, though, in 53 games. Essentially swapping third-line centers and moving down from a first to get a second and a third. 25 points in 53 games for Karlsson this season. -8, playing second line on a above 500 Vegas squad. Conservative sellers. Danault does have value with that cheap extension that kicks in, but I don't know. I've been liking Danault this year. He's playing some of his best hockey as a Canuck. I don't think I would do this. It's not the first. It's just Karlsson wouldn't be the biggest improvement, and if we're going to use our first, I'd rather use it somewhere else. So we lose against the Bruins there after we had beat the Penguins. It was an 8-game winning streak, and we lose against the Bruins. McIsaac now, so 4 games, 1 assist plus 1. Definitely makes me a little bit more confident in his abilities if we were to need him in the postseason. But we'll keep on rolling. So it was a 5-3 loss, we had said, correct? Against the Bruins, where are we going? So, against the Panthers. Then a 3-2 win against the Blues on the road. Another 1-goal win. That makes us, what, 9-1 and 0 in our last 10, and all 9 wins coming by 1 goal? Crazy. On the road now at Madison Square Garden, we are 35-13-7 facing the 29-21-4 Rangers, the reigning Stanley Cup champions. We definitely want to get a big win at MSG here. First period, 3-1 Canucks. Lindgren opens it up shorthanded, but then the Ratu answers back on the same penalty on the power play. Then Pettersson, a minute and a half later, a shorthanded goal of his own, and put Colson even strength 7 minutes after that. So we're up 3-1 after 20 shots, 15-10 in our favor. From down 1-0 to up 3-1, big answer back. Second period, no scoring, shots 25-17 in our favor. We have a 2-goal lead here on the road in New York at MSG. Power play Canucks killed off, or just lost. Power play Rangers, that's killed off. Now at the halfway point in the third period, shots very much in our favor. Saros waking up a little bit since allowing those 3 unanswered in the first period. Final 5 minutes, Kakko is going to bring the Rangers within 1. 3-2 game with 2 minutes to go. Final minute, 17 seconds, we hang on for the victory. 35-28 the shots, and the Rangers had a late push. We hang on for the 1-goal victory. Put Colson the game-winner goal and an assist, getting him first-star honors. And Silov's 26 saves from King Arthur. Our goaltending has been incredible with the average overall of like 81 or 81.5 between the 3 of them or something. Crazy. So let's keep going. We'll give Silovs the Canadians as well on the road in Montreal. 5-2 win. Ridiculous. All right, UPL's back in for this one. We'll give them the next 3 games. The Panthers and then the Ducks twice. On the road in Florida, 4-1 loss. Hosting the Ducks, 4-1 win. And then a 4-0 shutout on the road at the Honda Center. Wow. A tough loss, but 2 big wins to bounce back against the Ducks. Bringing us 1 win away from 40. We'll go back to Silovs. That shutout was also UPL's first as a Canuck, so hats off to my friend King Arthur back in the crease. Let's give him a couple of starts at home as we're getting closer to the trade deadline. Lightning and Predators. Ooh, 7-0 loss. But we give him the bounce back game and he gets a 3-1 victory for win number 40. I will still put UPL back in, but I'm glad he could bounce back for a 3-1 victory. UPL now in for the game against the Ducks. We've had good success against them in the calendar sim. Woohoo! Wow! We allow 7 goals in 2 of our last 3 games. 7-0 loss, 3-1 win, 7-1 loss. Whoa, very concerning. Tough that we're about to look at the stats here at the halfway point, and that is what we are met with in 2 of our last 3 games. But let's take a moment to check out where we are in the NHL, especially with our special teams. We currently sit atop the league with 87 points. Great to see us pulling away a little bit at the top. Very nice, 6 points above the Maple Leafs. With the power play percentage, we now sit at 16.5%. That is slightly higher than the halfway point, which was 15.4%. So 16.5, good to see, but still closer to the bottom than the top. That is an improvement. We are closer to the middle than before, but still would want to see more than just like 1.1% increase over the last 20 games. Penalty kill was at 80.6%. We now see identical 80.6%. Oh man, still in that bottom, that's 8th in the league? Oh. That penalty kill specialist may be required, but I don't know, the lineup is doing so well. We're sitting atop the league. Hard to say that we need any real big changes. Quinn Hughes has 56 points to lead the team right now. Pettersson at 55 has seen improvement, very good. We'll look at everything overall at the end. But only, 1 power play point? Is that it in the last 20 games? Sheesh, I think it's time for a major overhaul. We can't be settling for that. Reinhardt 54, Kopitar 51. They've slowed down a little bit, but Kuzmenko has improved as he's at 47. Miller 50, Ratu 47 points, great to see. Hronik 39, Bertuzzi 38. A lot of pace has cooled off, I think. Lekaramaki at 31, Dano also. Willander 18, Podkolzin 18, Hannafin at a plus 41, and Hronik at a plus 38. Anderson Dolan, Maroon, Manson, McIsaac. Okay. The goaltending's been keeping us in it, honestly. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen at 22, 10, and 5 with a shutout, 921 save percentage, and 2.53 goals against. Silovs was in that 920 category as well before that, one of those 7-goal games. 16, 3, and 2 is his record, 2.56 goals against as well. Ah, man, it's really the special teams. Regardless of whether or not we make a trade for some sort of special teams specialist here at the deadline, we're going to throw the power play and the penalty kill lines just into a blender and see what comes out. All right, so here's what I've come up with for the special teams. We'll make Reinhart the finisher on the first unit instead of Pettersson. Put Pettersson at center. Bring in JT Miller from the second unit. Reinhart the finisher with 27 goals, 90 shooting accuracy, and Lekkerimaki can go to the point. On the second unit, we're going to put Kopitar at center here. Keep Kuzmenko where he is as the finisher. And essentially that's it for not much change there on the second unit. More of a change on the first unit. On the penalty kill, let's try unit number 1 looking like this. Unit number 2 looking like this, we bring in Reinhart. And unit number 3 looking like this, we bring in Ratu. Essentially moving out Miller and Podkolzin and switching up the defensive combinations and the centerman as well. So, barring any moves as well that we could still think about, those will be our special teams lines towards the end of the season. Now, concerning a potential trade, I won't bring you through the trade blocks of every team in the league, but if something does catch my eye, I'll let you know. All right, so I would say that there are 2 teams who are presenting interesting options. The Vegas Golden Knights are one of them, but 1, they're a division rival, and 2, they're a winning team. Number 3 even, they're not quite sellers, they're conservative sellers. So to see them have their captain on the block right now, Mark Stone, making $9.5 million and scoring 63 points in 61 games, as great as it would be to bring in Mark Stone and his 5-star defense, it would be really hard to swing cap-wise, and I don't think that they'd be trading their captain to a division rival as conservative sellers with a winning record on an old-ish squad that probably wants to be going for it. Someone that might make a little bit more sense would be William Karlsson, who they have already offered to us in that Philip Danault trade. Now, William Karlsson, also interesting, having scored 34 points so far this year. He has 4.5-star defense. Very interesting, I have to admit. But really the thing is those first few points that I raised, on top of the fact that if we were to make a trade, it would cost us probably like a Philip Danault and maybe like a 3rd round pick to make it happen, or just like a first, and then someone gets bumped out of the lineup. Something that makes a bit more sense for me might be over on the Anaheim Ducks. Yes, a division rival, but a sub-500 team that want to move out some older expiring contracts, as opposed to players like Stone, Karlsson, players who would probably come back next year. I see Blake Coleman, I see Alex Killorn especially. Alex Killorn would be the most tempting one at an 84 overall, but he's making $6.25 million. It'll be hard to swing. 84 overall with 4-star defense, 90 defensive awareness, 83 shot blocking, 87 stick checking. But someone who could be a sneaky acquisition could be a Blake Coleman, making $4.9 million, so it would put us just up at the salary cap by like $30,000. And his stats are not horrible either. 3-star defense, but that's thrown off a little bit by the defensive awareness. 85 shot blocking, 87 stick checking, 2-way forward, 11 goals, 18 points on a bad Ducks team playing 4th line minutes. He seems to fit our penalty kill lines as well according to the Pro Scout. So I think Blake Coleman checks all the boxes, plus the fact that he would be the cheapest to acquire, probably just a late draft pick. So I'd be curious, Anaheim, what do you want for Blake Coleman? If I throw you a 6th round pick, for example, I think that would probably get it done. Could I even... Now, you know what? I'm going to do the 6th. I think a 7th might work as well, but I think a 6th is a bit more fair. Blake Coleman for a 6th. I know it's so tempting to see Stone and Karlsson, even Killorn, but to not have to move out money and give up the cheapest amount of value for possibly a great value upside, I think this is the deal. So Anaheim, what do you say? Blake Coleman for a 6th. They're in. Let's do it. I mean, cheering in the streets. There you go. This is a really good deal for us. I hope you know what you're doing. Let me guess. I could have given a 7th and gotten back a 7th, right? But I think this is fair. A 6th round pick for Blake Coleman. We'll try to get him in on the 4th line. We'll throw him on the penalty kill. We'll see what happens and go from there. All right, so Coleman fits the penalty kill strategy. Putting him on the 3rd unit penalty kill, replacing Aatu Räty, puts it from a +2 to a +4. So that's very good news. I don't know how often that 3rd unit really plays, but when they do come out there with a +4, that'll be good to know. Plus, we can move him up the units with that check mark. For the 5-on-5 lines, as 4th line left wing, he gives a +1, which is very good. He'll bump Maroon out of the lineup, which is super unfortunate. I think it moved him down even. I'd have to call him up. Yeah, he would definitely be the first guy to go over Foodie, I think, even with his record and his reputation. Yeah, there he is. But at the same time, he is a 75 overall now, so getting Coleman in does have a lot of value. Maroon has not been hurting us. 9 goals, crazy, and 12 points with a +6. He hasn't been hurting us, but Coleman probably provides more value, if I'm being honest. As much as we love Patty Maroon, we'll call him up for the postseason or whatever we got to do. He will play if and when needed, but for right now, I guess he could just sit in the AHL waiting for his moment. So Blake Coleman, welcome to Vancouver, my friend. We'll see what you can do for us in the final stretch here. We need some help on the special teams especially. So hopefully his acquisition plus the other changes that we've made will get us over the hump to finish atop the NHL, or at least as high as we can go, and enter the postseason on a high. So let's get it. First game with those changes being made, and first game for Blake Coleman as a Canuck here in Seattle as we face the Kraken. First period, 2-1 after 20. Besser opens it up. Of course, I keep forgetting. The Besser-Bertuzzi connection, of course. So former Canuck Brock Besser opens up the scoring. Then Danault ties it up, and Reinhart puts us ahead. Shots are 19-4 after 20. We're up by 1. Second period, 3-3 game. Quinn Hughes makes it 3-1, but then DeBrusk and Shane Wright tie it up. Shots 33-17, but we're all tied up here in the third period. We got to get Casey DeSmith some starts before the end of the season. Travis Boyd, former Canuck as well. Travis Boyd, we had him at the start of the series. Down by 1. We're up 3-1. Now we're down 4-3. Despite still being close to doubling the shots, we got to get one more past Grubauer, but he is just looking dialed in here. Final minute, and that's it. Shots and 45-26. And we lose 4-3. What a joke. Let me see. Nice -3 for the fourth line with Coleman. -1 in 9 minutes and 45 seconds of ice time. All right. Yeah, I'm going to say let's get DeSmith in here for a bit. Silovs is going to take a little bit of a rest. UPL will back him up. Casey DeSmith, Mr. Slow Sim himself. Let's get him in there. Let's make sure he's warm for the postseason. Only 5 appearances so far this year. Let's do it. First, we'll sim through the deadline, but he'll get the game against the Coyotes. Whoa, what in the world? Detroit gets 2 firsts and Poirier for JT Compher and Axel Anderson. What? What a deal there. All right, Minnesota. Hope you know what you're doing. And Blake Wheeler goes on waivers. Maybe we should have gotten him. Let's see what he's at now, though, at this moment in history. 79 overall, 40 years of age. He's been a veteran depth postseason legend pickup in 2 franchise mode series in the past. I believe it was with the Wild in, what, NHL 21 or NHL 22? I think it was NHL 21. And then, of course, most recently with the Penguins in NHL 23. 79 overall, making $1.9 million. He wouldn't really... We'd have to move some money around. I don't know. Should we do it? We also already have Maroon in there. If we claim him, we have to put him back through waivers if we want to keep him in the AHL, just for realism. I'm going to say what the heck. He has a track record for being able to come in clutch in the big moments. So Blake Wheeler, let's get him in here. We already got Blake Coleman, but let's do it. Would the game even let me call him up, though? No, it wouldn't, eh? So it would only be if there was an injury. So if we have an injury and we want to call him up, I'm going to have to call him up, send him back down through waivers to make sure that things aren't cheese, and then call him up again if we end up using him. I don't know if we even will, but just to say he's a part of the organization, maybe he gives us a little bit of good luck. Who knows? Other trades around the NHL, let's check it out. Ty Smith going to Carolina, Ghost going to Buffalo, Oslin to Detroit, the big JT Compher trade, Nick Paul to LA, Ryan Strome and Alex Killorn to Boston for a first plus, Eli Tolvanen going to Dallas in a deal for Esa Lindell, Zach Hyman going to the Penguins, ooh, wow, Sharon Govich going to Edmonton, Sean Couturier, Ilya Mikheyev, and a third going to Montreal from Philly for a first, Danielson and Guindon, wow. Milano, Pitlick, Duheim going to Dallas, Rasmussen to Arizona, Novak to Arizona, a first and a goalie prospect to Detroit for Logan O'Connor, a third and a fifth. Okay. So Casey DeSmith, he's going to get a start here. It's been a little while since we've seen him. We will host the Arizona Coyotes here with him between the pipes for the slow sim. We are 40-17-7 with about 20 games to go, or is it 19? First period, 1-0 Coyotes. Nick Schmaltz on the power play. Second period, 1-1 Noah Hannafin. Very good. Shots are 24-22 in our favor. Power play for the Coyotes here early in the third. We kill it off. Well done. 5 minutes in, we are... Hold on, now we're up by 1. Podkolzin with that new look fourth line, scoring the go-ahead goal here with 10 minutes to go. Slightly leading in the shot category. Looking solid enough with 5 minutes left. Hosting our first game after the trade deadline. 2 minutes to go, final minute, and that'll be all she wrote. 2-1 the final. Shots end 38-36 for the Coyotes, but are you even surprised? Are you even surprised from King Casey? 37 save performance to get him first star honors. Hannafin a goal and an assist. Man, Casey Smith, just the slow sim master. Come on now. Let's even give DeSmith a few starts. Why not? Even if he's not as good in the calendar usually. Let's see if he can get a little bit of calendar luck for once. Let's give him a couple games here. One against the Wild, one against the Flames, both at home. Brandon Duheim going on waivers here. 2 years left, 79 overall. Wouldn't be a bad pick for us. Wouldn't be a bad pickup for us. Could we call him up and send him back down as a guy with 900 as a 800K contract? I don't know, probably a bit too cheese. We already claimed Wheeler. We don't even have enough money or space to call him up and we cheese with the waivers. We need players like O'Brien to come up next season. There's a lot of reasons not to, but I feel like 800K is just too good to pass up. And we're the best team in the league, actually, so I don't need to send Wheeler and Duheim now back through waivers. If we're the best team in the league being offered him, that means no other team wanted him. If we were in the middle of the pack, we'd want to call them up and send him back down to not cheese the system. But Brandon, welcome to the team, buddy. Let's get him as depth for the future, probably, because he signed on after this season. 8-5 win and 6-3 win. So DeSmith allowing too many goals last couple of games, but we scored enough that it didn't matter. So good work, rest up, let's go back. And we'll get UPL back in here. 907 save percentage. All right, I see you, CDS. I see you. UPL back in with Silovs backing him up. Next couple games going to UPL before the back-to-back. Flames and then the Sharks. Injured hand for Anze Kopitar, keeping out until March 24th. Not too far away. So you know what? Instead of Dano slotting up, I think Reinhardt's going to go to the center position here. I want Karamaki to come up. Let's give him a little extra ice time. Put Coles into the third line, give them a +2. And then on the fourth line, that can be Liam Foudy. Even though Maroon would probably be the guy. Foudy's an 80 overall. He hasn't played at all this season. Let's give him a game. Let's give him the game. The poor guy a game. Come on. 73 face-off, so he'll stay on the wing. All right, so fourth line for Liam Foudy. Let's go. Hosting the Flames, 3-1 win and 4-1 loss. Back to King Arthur now, hosting the Kings. Excuse me, on the road against the Kings, I should say. We'll give him the next 4 games. Kings, Avs, Kings, and then Sharks. 4-1 win. Kopitar fully healed and back. Very good. Foudy had a goal and an assist in 4 games. All right, well done, Liam. Good to know. Always good to see little experimentations like that for if and when the time may come. Kopitar back in. Speaking of the Kings, 4-2 win. So, and then another player on waivers, Axel Anderson, who they just got from the Red Wings. Here's one where I will pass. Yeah, Axel Anderson will pass. So 4-1 win, 2-0 loss, 4-2 win, 3-2 overtime win. And you know what? We may as well just go to the last back-to-back here, and then it'll be UPL to the end. So 2 more starts for Silovs, 5-4 win in Winnipeg. The Flames have fired their coach, and then a 6-4 win in Nashville. So Silovs will likely back up UPL for the rest of the way here, as we'll sim towards the end of the year, but we got to go see the Rangers, of course. By the way, that win against the Predators was win number 49, so we beat our pace of 48 wins, the halfway point. 5-1 loss against the Wild in Minnesota. Now we're hosting the 38, 29, and 7 New York Rangers. Can we beat them for a little bit, of course, a rivalry, but of course to get win number 50 as well. First period, 1-0 Canucks. Elias Pettersson on the power play. Finally a power play goal, one of his very few this season. Second period, 1-1. Zibanejad scores on the power play. Not good to see from our penalty killers. Shots are 25-12 in our favor through 40 minutes, but we're all tied up at 1. One goal could be the decider here. Power play Rangers. We got to kill this one off. Extended opportunity. Very extended opportunity. Of course they're going to capitalize. Then Kuzmenko answers back. Thank you, Kuzmenko. Hold on. Pause. What happened here with the penalties? It was, all right, checking from behind minor, and then a hold. Actually, I thought it was no major in there. All right, so Willander and Coleman. Great. But we're tied up at 2 thanks to Kuzmenko. Thank you very much. With 5 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Power play Canucks. Opportunity that is lost. It's like I can't even speak with all the different scenarios going on in my mind. I'm thinking about the shots. I'm thinking about the power plays. Can it be that we give up so many opportunities, squander so many of our own, yet outshoot the opponent by so much? Shots 34-20 through 60 minutes. We're off to 3-on-3 overtime against the Rangers here in Vancouver. We beat them at MSG, and we're off to the shootout here in Vancouver, where it will be a 3-2 Rangers win. They score 3 goals on Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, who has not been good beyond regulation this year. Saros makes 34 saves, and we'll lose that one. Our first loss beyond regulation in quite a while here. And Susie back spasms out till May 2nd. Oh my goodness. Here it comes now at the end of the year now, right? Here it comes. McIsaac can get a little bit of an audition here to the end of the year. Can he stick, or do we look to the AHL? Okay, let's see if we can get win number 50 against Vegas now on the road. Okay, AHL replaced there. On the road, and there it is, 5-4 victory. Thank you very much. Back to it, 3-2 shootout win, 4-1 win, and on the road, 3-1 win in Calgary. All right, so 53-20-8 is our record, definitely above our pace set in the first half. Can we end it with a 54th win here against the Oilers, a very good team themselves? 45-28-8 is their record. We're on the road in Edmonton, looking for a win in game number 82. First shot of the night goes in, Nugent Hopkins. First period ends 2-0 as Kulak adds another on UPL. Second period now, 2-0 it remains for the Oilers. Shots 25-18 in their favor. Power play to start the period. Can we kill that one off? Thank you. Yes, we can. UPL here. You guys show me a strong third period here, buddy. 3 goals on 31 shots, hovering around that 900 save percentage, where we're allowing a ton of shots here. I don't blame Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen just yet. Hold on, Ratu gets one to stop the bleeding and to break the shutout for Jack Campbell. Power play Oilers. We'll kill that off at least, but we'll drop the last game of the season. Danault scores late, but too little too late. We'll drop it 4-2 the final. Shots end 39-28, and we'll take the L, unfortunately. Fabry, Campbell, all those guys in there. So, ladies and gentlemen, year number 4 in Vancouver will officially end with a record of 53-21-8. Let's take a moment to check out the standings and the points. I will be very curious to see what's up with the special teams. So we do win the President's Trophy. Great news, 114 points, a record of 53-21-8. Our best season so far with the franchise by far, as we finished 6th, and 17th in the league. This year, number 1, our first President's Trophy. And the franchise is first since 2012, so 15 years later. On top of that, we scored 3.45 goals per game. That is amongst the best. We're 5th best in the league for that stat. Goals against per game, 2.7. The best defensive team in the league, technically. There you go. Although it didn't feel like it sometimes when we would be letting in 7 goals left and right, crazy to see in the end that our goaltending three-headed monster of an 83, an 81, and an 80 overall ends up combining for the least amount of goals against per game over the course of the year in the NHL. Now the power play, I want to see higher than 16.4%. We end at exactly 16.4%. I don't know what to say with this team. I don't know what to say. Penalty kill, can we see higher than, what was it, 80.4? Was that it? Penalty kill, 83.3. All right, so we see improvement on the penalty kill, and it actually moves up to the top, we're in the top 10 in the league. All right, so the penalty kill is a down year for everybody in the league, it looks like. But 83.3, big improvement on the penalty kill, thank goodness, but the power play continues to struggle. Looking at the points now, Elias Pettersson finished point per game, let's go. Same for Quinn Hughes, 82 points apiece, lovely to see, especially from Pettersson. Was on a 72-point pace at the halfway point, so well done Elias, leading by example. And Quinn Hughes, 82 points, not quite the 91 from last year, but we'll definitely take point per game from the captain. But after our top 2, we start to see a little bit of a drop-off, I have to admit. JT Miller was on pace for 74, he ends with 70, still good, but below his pace. Same for Sam Reinhart, who's on pace for 40 goals and 76 points. He ends with 31 goals and 66 points. Still, again, big improvement from last year's 56, and is most with us so far in his 3rd season as a Canuck, but still on pace for 76. Still, it's kind of disappointing to see 66 when he was so hot in that first half. Aatu Räty, my goodness, 34 goals and 63 points in his 3rd season. Wow. Doubling his goal total from his sophomore season and scoring 20 more points. He was on a 66-point pace. He ends with 63 points. Definitely acceptable. A plus 40 as well, and tied for the team lead in goals. Take a bow, my friend. Leading the team in power play points as well. Aatu Räty, future legend, the low lead potential, just made the team a couple of years ago. 79, 81, jumps to an 83, 85. Räty, buddy, great story. Now, Kuzmenko has been a big disappointment. We may go back to how our lines were. As much as we love to see Räty scoring, I think for the postseason, we change Räty and Kuzmenko back. Because Kuzmenko was on a 62-point pace, and now he ends with 60 points. Same for Anze Kopitar, on a 78-point pace, and he ends with 58 points. Yes, he played 4 less games because of injury, but assume that he gets 60 points, let's say. Still, a 78-point pace on that second line, and he ends with 58. So, we played from a position of power. We still won the President's Trophy. No harm, no foul. But I think Räty and Kuzmenko swapping back is the move. Continuing on, Hronek 48 points, plus 34. He was on, I think, a 52-point pace, so 48 definitely acceptable. Bertuzzi, a 52-point pace. He ends at 44. All right, Tyler. Okay. Philippe Danault ends with 36. He was another one who took a big drop as he was on pace for 50. So 36 points from Danault. Lekaramaki, 20 goals, 35 points. At the end of the day, that's a good rookie season. But he was on pace for 48 points. So a lot of players really slowed down in the second half, and the goaltending ended up being what carried for us. And that's usually not the case in the postseason. So that's what concerns me a little bit, despite how strong we've been. But Colson, 24 points. That was keeping exactly on his pace as he had 12 points at the halfway mark. Very good. Coleman, 23. What did he do as a Canuck, though? 5 points and a +3 in 19 games. I can accept that. And both of his goals were game winners. No problem. Averaging only 9.25 per night. Yeah, okay, we can do that. We can do that. Hanifin, 23 with a +36. Willander, 22 points with a +24. Keeping exactly on his pace as well. He had 11 points at the halfway mark. Manson, 17 points, 9 goals for the defensive defenseman. Anderson Dolan, 17. Susie, 15. Foodie, 2 points. Same for McIsaac. 2 assists, even plus-minus through 9 games played. Do we keep him in with Susie out? Do we look to the AHL and call up, I don't know, who we call up? Zach Jones, maybe? I don't know. Looking good down here in the AHL, though. Looking okay. Looking at the goaltending now, though. The goaltending. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, 27, 14, and 6 with 1 shutout. 918 save percentage, 2.6 goals against average. While Silovs went 21, 4, and 2. Wow, 6 less wins in like 19 less appearances. 918 save percentage, 2.51 goals against. Does King Arthur get the crease for game 1 of the postseason? That is my question. And DeSmith went 5-3-0, 907 save percentage, 3.11 goals against. Definitely a tough call for the goaltending headed into the postseason. Looking at the entire NHL, Nathan MacKinnon wins the Art Ross with 116 points, leading the league in scoring, and Pasternak's 60 goals will win him the Rocket Richard. Looking at defense now, Quinn Hughes does lead the league. Great plus-minus as well compared to Carlson, so that should be another Norris Trophy. Back-to-back for Quinn Hughes, fingers crossed, if we're lucky. And goaltenders around the league, let's check it out. As Askarov led with 39 wins, but let's look at the other stats that say minimum, 50 games played. Sorting by save percentage, Askarov's 913 led the league. And goals against average at 2.73 goes to Sorokin. But if we move the max down to, let's say, max being 20 games played, and we get some backups in the mix as well, that's where we see Silovs here at 918, Luukkonen there at 918 as well. And for the goals against average, 2.51, Silovs is third. So keep that in mind. Definitely keep that in mind. It's a very interesting stat. What about rookie scoring around the league? Leading the league in rookie scoring is Stefan Markstrom, the first overall pick from last year. 73-point rookie season from him. Well done. And I think that about brings us to the end, ladies and gentlemen. What we'll want to do now is see who our opponent will be in round number 1. As President's Trophy winners, who will we be facing? Adam Gaudette on waivers here, 79 overall. Now, there's so many good players on waivers. Pass. Let's advance one more day. Here we go in round number 1 of year number 4. We will be facing the St. Louis Blues, who ended 40, 32, and 10 on the season. Let's get a quick look at their lines before we call it an episode. The St. Louis Blues have Giroux, of course, we were considering at the deadline. Regardless, the deal never really worked out. His value would have been higher. I'm content with getting Coleman for the 6th. So Giroux, Thomas, and Buchnevich, that's a strong first line overall and simulation-wise, even though Giroux's lacking at an 82. Comtois, Catton, and Kyrou on the second line. Snuggerud, Bordzuk, and Neighbors on the third. Nybeck, Robertson, and Torpchenko on the fourth. Defense is Krug and Truba, playable injury for Krug, Leddy and Falk on the second pair, and Pareko with Prunovich on the third pair. Goaltending, 84 overall, Karol Vejmelka. What kind of season did Vejmelka have this year? Good year. Solid year. Very nice. And scratches, Shen and Saad both injured, and Justin Hall there as 7th defenseman. So, strong first line for the Blues. Giroux scored 91 points, so it makes sense why they wouldn't have wanted to trade him as well. Thomas, 84 points, and Buchnevich, 87 points. So very strong first line. If we can shut down that first line, we'll have a much better chance. But that does it for me, ladies and gentlemen. We are President's Trophy winners for the first time in our franchise mode with the Canucks so far. But definitely a concerning second half when it comes to our point production. The goaltending has been great, but I'm not really content with a lot of the drop-off in the second half. I think I can definitely go ahead and say that I'm making this swap, even though Kuzmenko doesn't deserve it. Let's get the second line back to what it was, Ratu, Kopitar, and Reinhart. And aside from that, I don't think we really have any other changes to be made. The defense like this, and of course, the power play and the penalty kill looking like this. If you have any suggestions, just a reminder of how they look. Second unit power play looks like this with the 0. I don't know, too many two-way forwards in there. Hard to tell. Penalty kill, which did see good improvement. Unit number 1. Unit number 2, unit number 3, and of course the biggest question, who's the starting goaltender? Silovs' numbers I would think are the best when you take all the context into account, but at the same time, UPL has been our starter, and Casey Smith has been our postseason ace in the hole simulation king. So that will be a tough question for the assistant general managers. Do we like this 5-on-5 lineup as well as is with the Kuzmenko-Ratu swap? Any other thoughts on the season that was? Anything and everything? Leave it down here in the YouTube comments or over on the Discord server, link in the description. And that'll do it for this one. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for taking the time to watch. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and of course, subscribe if you haven't already, as you'll be getting over 150 uploads in 2024. NHL 24 and 25, MLB The Show 23 and 24, Wii Sports, breaking news and analysis in the real world of hockey, and much, much more. And it'll be that much more fun to have you and your thoughts in the mix. So I'll end it there. Thank you everyone for taking the time to watch, and I'm looking forward to seeing you once again in the next one as we kick off the year number 4 postseason. Coming off of a Stanley Cup Final loss in year number 3, we've won the President's Trophy, and now we're looking to go all the way and drink from Lord Stanley's Cup.